Hello friends and followers. Well, here again is the National Company 500, HRO 500. So I've had some issues with this radio tonight. First of all, I think I pumped about 20 volts in this thing by accident and blew out the light bulbs here. Haven't figured that out yet. The radio still seems to run. I may have damaged the audio output stage too. It seems like the audio is a lot lower. But anyway, the radio still receives signals. The HF oscillator became very unstable after all that. But really, I've been trying to figure out the harmonic generator here, the synthesizer spectrum generator. And I remember reading on a blog that some guy with a 9 call sign wrote, who restores these. He was saying something about the voltage is very critical. And I'm finding that true. So I'm connected up to the output of this spectrum generator. I'm connected up to the coax line where it wants to go into the mixer on the synthesizer here. And that's an apt place to put it, just because you want to make sure the levels are rather high and ducky. So take a look at this. Here's a scope. And here's the levels in that generator. I can't say they're fabulous. It's only 20 millivolts, but well, it's something coming in. And if we speed this up a little bit, what do we get? Oh, I can't seem to get that wave, can I? Anyway, that's what I get. But here's the real debacle. Right now I'm coasting at 5 volts. And I guess this voltage is, I'm tapping it with that yellow wire right there. And I'm guessing it's going to this transistor. I threw a silicon transistor in here. It's an NPN. And that is this is what, Q301. That's the blocking oscillator right there. And that's the one that deals, I think, with this transformer. When this thing charges up, it takes a pulse from that. Anyway, as regulated by this crystal. So when I increase or decrease the voltage here, and maybe I can move this meter down by the scope, or maybe not, and show you what I mean. It needs to be at 5 volts. It really needs to be at 5 volts. If it's not at 5 volts, it's really unhappy. So there's the meter and there's the waveform. And what you'll see is, well, if you could see anything, there. When I decrease the voltage, the waveform goes down as you would expect in amplitude. See it going down there? Now I go back to 5 volts, it peaks. When I go above 5 volts, it staves off a lot. So that's a real problem. And what's my voltage at here? When I'm cranking about 12 volts or 13 volts into this thing, right about there, the output is very, very pitiful and low. And that's 5.2 volts. And so that 5.2 volts, I'm thinking comes from the Xenier diode I put in there. So that's not going to work. That is not regulated strictly enough. So I think I'm going to have to take the Xeniers out and go to an active voltage regulator. And I got a whole box of those, like, what are they called? 75, I forget what those are called, but anyway, I got a whole box of those things. And I think the solution is going to be going into the box of regulators and finding some decent ones wherever I have them stuffed around here. Not there. Anyway, I do have a whole raft of these things. I just want to pick the right one out. I think, okay, here they are. So yeah, the solution is going to be stuffing in a few of these into the radio, which weren't invented. These weren't invented in 1965. I don't think these came out until the 70s. Anyway, so what are we going to do here? 7805. I'm going to stuff that in there. So when I go right to 5 volts, let's go right to 5 volts. It kind of peaks around 4.8, 4.9. Okay, there's 5. Yeah, it's doing good at 5. So yeah, 5 volts. Just put in the 7805, and we're good. Do I have a 10? This thing wants 10 volts, and it wants 5 volts. It wants 7.5 volts too. So you can kind of mess with these, and you could probably take a 7806 and put a resistor in the bottom of it and get it to go to 7 volts. You can play games like that. So I'll probably put one in for 7 volts or 7.5 volts, and I'm definitely going to put this 5 volter in, and that won't even take that long. So maybe we'll try that, give that a whack, and see if that improves the situation here. So maybe this radio will eventually work. It's just going to take some time. This is kind of like a development lab back in National. It's like we're just hacking with circuits and trying to make this thing work no matter what. Anyway, that's what I'm up to now. So yeah, if you have one of these, take some measurements. I'm looking at the output of the what's this thing called? Generator, pulse generator, whatever that thing does, harmonic generator. And again, I'm looking at the voltage, and it really wants 5 volts. It doesn't want 5.2 volts. Here's 5.2 volts I've been throwing into it. It doesn't like that. As you can see, at 5.2, well, it works at 5.2 somewhat, but if you go much above that, it really stinks it down. Actually, I'm wondering that if there's another voltage involved that's really hampering it. Well, that regulator does take a number of voltages. I'm sorry, the generator here, harmonic generator, takes a number of voltages. So there's a wire going in there with 5 volts for the yellow wire. This coax here, I think it's like supposed to be a 10 volt wire or something. And they're bringing in power through a coax, which is weird, but anyway. Tap onto that one. And that's 7 volts. Let's look at what that one wants to be. Okay, that's happy at about 7 volts. So they do talk about 7 volts in this thing being a voltage it needs or wants. Seems like these are all pretty critical, as somebody noted. You go above 7 and it falls off. So maybe we'll give that one 7 volts, give the other one 5 volts, and give it a try. All right, so that's my little infomercial here for fixing this damn thing. So yeah, I got a bunch more work to do now to get that stuff in there. This is kind of getting painful, actually, because it's just so much work for so little return. I guess the return is getting it working eventually really well, but I've never had a receiver that's taken this much work. But, well, man up, right? Man up and get it done. All right, so if I flip this nasty thing over with one hand, which this thing is about 30 pounds, I've probably flipped it over 30 times by now. And take a look at the underbelly of it, of the monster. Okay, so the underbelly of the monster Where are we gonna put these regulators? So here's the voltage board here. And I just spent hours last night doing this stuff, trying to get these stabilized. So why didn't that work out? I don't know. Maybe these Japanese, Chinese components are just crap. But anyway, this is the 7.5 volt Xenier, I think it is. What does the schematic have in it for the Xeniers? I did redo the schematic for this thing from schematics I got from Bama and made them nicer into one big sheet. So that's was crucial for working on this crazy thing. All right, where's the power supply at? There it is. So that is what? 7.5 volts it wants. And it wants 5 volts. 5 volts right there. So I suppose I could jam some of those regulators in. I just don't know where I'm going to heat sink them. It's like, do I stick them on here? There's not much room in this thing for anything. Could probably put them here. Yeah, there's room right there for regulators. Maybe stick them there. I hate drilling holes in this thing, but hey, you know, when you need to regulate, you need to regulate. So all it needs 2 wires, input, output, and the ground is the ground, and we're all set. Maybe I'll put them here. Bring them out to here. All right, that's my video. And I guess this might be called one of the radios from hell. It's starting to earn that title. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.